Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2017 Sioux Awards. We are here tonight to honor some of the University of North Dakota's most esteemed alumni. Al Royse, Jeanne Pfeiffer, Jack Muhs, Lucy Dalglish, and Tim O'Keefe are receiving the Sioux Award this evening. Jules Cutterba and Eric Trueblood are the Young Alumni Achievement Award recipients. Please welcome this year's award winners.
The University of North Dakota uniquely was founded in 1883 as the first public university in the Dakota Territory. That's 6 years before North Dakota became a state. The Alumni Association was founded back with the very early graduates. Those few alumni back in those early days, the few graduates in those classes, they got together and said, let's have an alumni association. We had folks who stepped forward, graduates, and said, we want to stay connected with the university.
I often think of those first 6 women and 2 men who graduated from the University of North Dakota and what their determination, their hard work, their passion had to be, and what the overriding love for the institution must have been like. Because they got together right after graduation and they formed the Alumni Association, determining that they wanted to stay connected with each other, connected with their university, and support their university in any way possible. What a true passion and love for this institution. I am constantly amazed by the University of North Dakota alumni. They could leave here 40 years ago, and when you meet them and talk to them, it's like they were back on campus yesterday. They're special. They have this joy, this love for the University of North Dakota and the state of North Dakota in many cases. These people truly are special, and I look forward to meeting them and walking those campus paths with them when they return to UND.
We are so fortunate to have this university, and we must continue to support and strengthen it.
University of North Dakota means the world to me. It's opened up so many opportunities for myself.
The University of North Dakota, quite simply, I think is world class.
I am so proud of the University of North Dakota. I am so proud of the people.
Quite simply, UND has been good to me and good for me. Thank you so much for this award.
The Sioux Award is an honor and tradition that goes back to 1949. And this very distinguished award has an amazing history of people who have received it. Political leaders of our state and our country, outstanding business leaders from across the world, teachers, lawyers, engineers, nurses, doctors who have changed lives every day. And yet, they see it as just what they should do.
The University of North Dakota prepared me well to accept the world as an interesting place to be.
UND sent me out of here, I think, able to compete and beat most folks from the East Coast and West Coast, which I guess I wasn't quite aware of until I had the opportunity to do it.
The University of North Dakota, I thank you. And I thank you, and I thank you again for mentoring me so I could help others in their time of need.
UND truly is the foundation that I built my career on.
I have found that our Sioux Award recipients are overwhelmed by this distinguished honor. And I would say that we are humbled by their modesty and definitely in awe of their achievements.
And I pledge to you that in return for this, for sure, undeserved, but very highly treasured reward of the Sioux Award, that I will dedicate myself to do my part to make sure that the students who load up their worldly possessions and head to the University of North Dakota will leave here equipped not with a wild imagination, but with the determination to reach for realistic dreams. God bless you and the University of North Dakota, and may the goodness of UND stay with you always.
The Sioux Award stands as a real-life example of what one life can mean for the benefit of others.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the CEO of the UND Alumni Association and Foundation, Deanna Carlson-Zink.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2017 Sioux Awards. Tonight, we are here to honor and celebrate some special University of North Dakota alumni, those who have taken the knowledge and experiences of their UND educations and have become leaders in their professional lives while maintaining a philanthropic spirit. They join a celebrated group of more than 450 alumni who have received this honor since its inception in 1949. I now invite all previous Sioux Award recipients with us here tonight to please stand and be recognized. In 2002, we started to give out a new award to recognize up-and-coming young alumni who were making an impact in their communities, their careers, and on their alma mater. 2 more names will be added to that list of Young Alumni Achievement Award winners tonight. Would all previous Young Alumni honorees with us tonight also please stand to be recognized? You each are shining examples of what can be accomplished with a UND diploma in hand. We are very proud to call each of you alumni. This spring, we renamed the street next to the Gretzky Alumni Center to honor 2 people who had a tremendous impact on the Alumni Association and Foundation. Earl Strinden dedicated decades of service to UND, and his wife, Jeanne, was right by his side as a Goodwill ambassador. Would my former predecessor, CEO Earl Strinden, please stand so we can show our appreciation for all you have done for the University of North Dakota. Also, part of the legacy for our organization and the University of North Dakota are the members of our board of directors and those who served on the campaign committee, Spirit Campaign, which was instrumental in helping us raise $324 million. Could we have our current, former, and also our campaign committee members please stand for some well-deserved recognition? President Kennedy has accomplished so much that it's a little surprising to realize that he's only been on the job for about 15 months. President Kennedy has launched a far-ranging strategic plan, student and community-focused initiatives like the Game Day Experience Committee, and a new branding initiative that will lead us to a greater connection with our alumni, the community, and also prospective students. If you are not following Mark on Twitter, then you are really missing out on the essence of his presidency. Now please join me in welcoming the University of North Dakota's 12th president, the Honorable Mark Kennedy.
Thank you, Deanna. We clearly stand on the shoulders of giants. And just as a tree is known by its fruits, a university is known by the alumni that we send out into the world. And we are so very proud of our alumni. In moments like this, seeing them come back for the Sioux Award really just raises all of our spirits. I tell all the incoming students at the University of North Dakota that we really love to welcome you to UND, but we even love even more when you cross the stage and we give you a diploma and we send you out into the world, which is our goal. But in truth, even more than having you walk across that stage and getting a diploma is watching your life and what you've done, how you've each touched the world in such a meaningful way that makes our work here at the University of North Dakota so much more meaningful. We're very proud of these Sioux Award winners tonight. We're very proud of those that have gone before as Sioux Award winners. I congratulate them all, and I thank you all for joining us here to celebrate their success, and in their success, the success of the University of North Dakota. Thank you all.
Thank you, President Kennedy. We have another special guest in the audience tonight that I'd like to recognize. Please extend a warm welcome to the Chancellor of the North Dakota University System, Dr. Mark Hagerott. Mark? Also in attendance this evening is our former President and First Lady, Ed and Nancy Schaefer. Ed and Nancy, would you please stand to be recognized? Ed, of course, was also the governor of this great state. And we have another former governor here tonight, Al Olson. Would you please stand and say hello to the crowd? Thank you. The Sioux Award and the Young Alumni Achievement Award are, by their very nature, reserved for alumni of UND. But we have some tremendous friends of this university who we also want to recognize from time to time, which is why the UND Spirit Award was established in 1985. Earlier this year, we honored longtime Grand Forks Herald columnist Marilyn Haggerty with the Spirit Award, and I know she is here with us this evening as well. And just yesterday, we also bestowed a posthumous Spirit Award to James C. Ray. James gave millions to aerospace and entrepreneurial programs at UND. And yesterday, we also announced that the James C. Ray Foundation was gifting $500,000 that is being combined with another $500,000 from our UND Aerospace Foundation and a $500,000 match from the UND's Promise Scholarship Program to create a $1.5 million endowment for scholarships for incoming freshmen studying aviation. What a great testament to Mr. James Ray. The Young Alumni Achievement Award was established in 2002 to recognize recent graduates of UND who have made a mark in the short time since they attended our university. The Young Alumni Achievement recipients are role models for those who follow them on campus, as they prove that success can come to those with focus, drive, and a willingness to work hard. I'd like to bring Milo Smith, our Senior Director of Publications and Media Relations, to the stage to introduce this year's Young Alumni Achievement Award recipients. Milo?
Good evening. Thank you, Deanna. It is my honor tonight to present to you the 2017 Young Alumni Achievement Award recipients. Our first is Jules Kaderba, who is a 2007 graduate of UND, also a Greater Grand Forks area resident. I've been told she's a Sacred Heart alum as well. Jules loves to travel, and she gets to do a lot of that as part of her job as the Global Trade and Customs Manager with Pandora Jewelry. And when I talked with her this summer, she'd just gotten back from a work trip to Chile and Argentina and was raging to go on her next adventure. She travels a lot since Pandora sells in more than 100 countries, has more than 21,000 employees worldwide. And while it's not that unusual for a person to love to travel, Jules also has the added benefit of loving the work that she does. While with Target Corporation, as an example, she discovered a love for global trade and customs, And she ended up finding out that she enjoyed that work so much that she went through the federal requirements to become a licensed customs broker. Now, she even has a subscription, she tells me, to Global Trade Magazine. And I'm wondering if we have any other subscribers in the audience to Global Trade Magazine. President Kennedy, maybe? No? Also, she told me she likes to read it on the weekends. She also told me I'm kind of a nerd. While that may be true, Jules, you are the best kind of nerd in that you love what you do and you strive to be the best. For showing us that following your heart can lead to a fulfilling career and a well-worn passport, please come forward to accept your Young Alumni Achievement Award.
Thank you everyone for coming. So, like Milo said, I grew up in Greater Grand Forks area, actually just 10 blocks away from the campus. And my idea back then of a venture was going to a new park to experience the monkey bars. I love the monkey bars. I wanted to go to new places and try them out. Luckily, I graduated past the monkey bars when my parents took me on lots of road trips every single summer when I started to get to explore the world and the United States. Those road trips turned to cities, and that turned to countries. Now, my monkey bar child mind back then couldn't conceive the ideas that I could accomplish while I was growing up. Things like studying abroad in Germany during high school, studying abroad in China with the University of North Dakota, and then also studying abroad during my MBA to Vietnam, Malaysia, and India. I never would have thought I would be training Target Corporation suppliers all around the world on how to import into the United States and Canada, nor did I ever thought I would be on an international consulting assignment to work on a rabbit farm in Nepal on how to import and export rabbit meat and hides. And the most recently is devising a plan for a multinational company like Pandora Jewelry to set them up for success in importing into brand new markets such as Chile and Argentina. Now, could I come up with all these ideas by myself and my open mind? No, it is the people in my life that had opened my mind up to these opportunities. To start, my parents. Yes, Joe and Carol Cutterba, you're the ones that put the travel bug into me, so I don't know why you're so upset every time I wanted money to go on another trip. Also, my teachers in high school and college. There's so many that I can't name them all. Those teachers are a big part of my life. Also, while I was going to school at University of North Dakota, I worked for the Center for Innovation, and I'd like to thank all the staff there for having me there between 2002 and 2007. They really taught me a lot about business. And the best part I think I got from this college was going and really finding my path during the Chinese study abroad tour and meeting now the late Ken Mellum, a great University of North Dakota grad. And he was a very strong mentor of mine and prepped me for the world. Now, I truly believe all universities can do actually good classroom settings. But in the world amidst the social media and the me generations, yes, I am a millennial generation, the uniqueness of graduating from a place like the University of North Dakota is that they teach you respect. And now I possess the soft skills to work with the baby boomer generation, and I have a solid work ethic that not all universities can provide. To be prepared, they always taught me, and to do research. Yes, Professor Connie Bateman, I'm here to say that I did not research well enough before starting my job at Pandora Jewelry. The millennial spirit in me got away. If you knew me and saw any text messages from me or an email, I do 300 to 500 text messages a day, and I love to use the exclamation point, overusage. That overzealousness of the exclamation point goes into my work emails, and I use it all the time. Maybe not for most professional, Well, 2 years after working at Pandora, who is owned by a Danish corporation, with me using those exclamation points because I love to talk about global trade and customs and get excited to do so, they tell me, Jules, we have a nickname for you. We call you Angry Jules. And I was like, Angry Jules? No one's ever given me that before. But because in Denmark, they only use the exclamation point when they are mad or yelling at each other. So I missed the research there. But in true millennial spirit, I want to thank my family, the university, and the entire teachers and staff of the university. Exclamation points. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jules. You are definitely very deserving of our Young Alumni Achievement Award. And our next deserving recipient, Eric Trueblood, has built a business around the restoration of old planes. The work is about more than rivets and sheet metal, however. Eric's company, Air Corps Aviation, works on some of the most historic aircraft in the world, often toiling many hours over planes that flew in World War II. Now, the planes often have a story to tell, stories that unfortunately are dying out as we lose more and more of our World War II veterans each day. Out of more than 16 million American World War II veterans, only about 500,000 are still alive. Eric told us it's, quote, important that we honor them and preserve their legacy. Eric, who graduated from UND in 2006, and his 3 partners started their business by going around the country to work on planes on location. Now, however, they employ 35 people at 3 locations, Seattle, Minneapolis, and in Bemidji, Minnesota. Eric credits his time at UND, earning a marketing degree, with giving him not only the skills that he needed, but also a belief system to strive for more. Working with clients around the world never seemed out of reach, he says, thanks to his experiences at the University of North Dakota. I never felt like that I wasn't prepared, he told us. Eric, for starting a business that restores important pieces of aviation and U.S. history, and being an inspiration for your pursuit of a very fascinating and rewarding career, please come forward to accept your Young Alumni Achievement Award.
Thank you. Take a second and imagine yourself when you were 19 or 20 years old, maybe the summer before or after your sophomore year of college. Remember returning to campus, seeing friends attending football or hockey games, making memories in your dreams of the future. The first of my 2 guests tonight achieved one of his dreams at the age of 20. As a left-handed pitcher and first baseman, he made the New York Giants, now the San Francisco Giants, Major League Baseball affiliate team. 75 years ago this week, Hod Hudson left that dream of professional baseball when he volunteered to protect our country during World War II, enlisting in the Army Air Corps on October 2nd, 1942. Alongside Brooklyn window washers, Harvard historians, Rosie the Riveters, Poles, Native Americans, Italians, athletes like Joe DiMaggio and Clark Gable, Americans banded together. 360,000 from North Dakota and Minnesota served the Allied forces. John O'Keefe, father to one of tonight's Sioux Award winners, Tim O'Keefe, earned the Distinguished Flying Cross flying B-25 bombers in the same bomb group as Hod. The 2 squared off as quarterbacks in the flag football championship on the island of Corsica, with Hod's squadron walking away victorious. A Hayward, Wisconsin farm kid, Hod would also pilot B-25 Mitchell bombers over the skies of Europe, safely bringing his crew home every mission. America's bomber boys, as they were known, had the most dangerous job in World War II. In October of 1943, fewer than 1 out of 4, just 14% of enlisted bomber crew members would complete their 25-tour tour of duty. At Air Corps Aviation, we are fortunate to restore and return some of the most historic World War II aircraft in the world to the skies. Our restoration work, though, pales in comparison to the opportunity to honor the sacrifice and service of veterans young and old. What guides us is our understanding that our work is about more than airplanes, engines, or horsepower, and our true job is to carry forth the legacy of future generations. Listening to folks' stories like Hod's, John O'Keefe's, Paul Campbell's, and the hundreds of other service members is what gets me excited about each day of work. After his enlistment, Hod would settle in Grafton, build a successful aerial application business while sharing his love of aviation, teaching people to fly, raising a family of proud UND students, athletes, and Hall of Fame members. His grandson, Jimmy Evers, a medical school sophomore and former UND athlete, is with him tonight. My second guest, Hans Ronke, has a story that is best described as destiny. He never met his grandfather, First Lieutenant Lauren Hintz, who flew a P-47 Thunderbolt World War II fighter like what we're restoring at our shop in Air Corps Aviation. Lauren Hintz was killed in the waning days of World War II on April 20th, 1945, over the skies of Italy. Had Lauren, just 28 years old, survived his last mission, just days before Italy was liberated, he would have almost certainly made it home to his wife Gertie, daughter Gretchen, and unborn child Martin. There were no foxholes in the sky. 77% of Americans who flew against the German Reich before D-Day would end up as casualties. On July 23rd last year, Hans's 12-year quest found he and I in a hamlet town of Italy, standing in a harvested wheat field at about 5 a.m. Surrounded by his family, teams of European archaeologists, and a documentary crew, the buzzing of metal detectors and excavation equipment helped guide us through 18 feet of red clay to unearth Lauren's airplane. The culmination of Hans's years of work was unearthing the airplane, but more importantly, his father's remains and even his dog tags were found. Lauren Hintz died while liberating Italians, some of whom were children at the time and now stood weeping in the field from a distance. First Lieutenant Lauren Hintz will be interned at the American Cemetery in Florence, Italy next year. If you don't mind, I would like to forego my applause, have these two gentlemen and all of our veterans in attendance stand and be recognized. I'm humbled and honored to receive this award. I'm just a North Dakota kid who, upon enrolling at the University of North Dakota, had no idea what it would be preparing me for. Beyond the classwork, my education truly took place, rooted in relationships with incredible mentors, Dr. Don Piper, Dr. Boyd, Dr. Lori Betting, Dr. Cassie Gerhardt, Kayla Efforts, all taught me through example. To my wife, Jamie, who brings out the best in me, my parents, our friends, family, and mentors, thank you for supporting me. They got the engraving wrong on my plaque. It should really have about 30 names engraved on it. Because it's an award we should all celebrate. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jules and Eric. You are both very deserving recipients of our Young Alumni Achievement Award. Let's extend another round of applause for our Young Alumni Achievement recipients. You have made the University of North Dakota very proud. Now, before we eat our meal, please welcome Pastor John Fick of Sharon Lutheran Church for the invocation. Pastor John?
Let us pray. Loving and gracious God, as we begin this festive banquet this evening and celebrate this homecoming week, we pause in quiet gratitude as we consider your boundless gifts to us. It's good for us to stop and reflect on how all of creation, life itself, and the good we work for have their source in you. O God of wisdom, we're grateful for institutions of learning, especially the University of North Dakota, centers which seek to inspire wisdom and creativity and the development of skills. Through these gifts, we seek to enhance human life and better serve humanity and all of creation. Bless and guide this university in that pursuit. We're grateful for people who have served and now serve this university as they seek to use their skills to benefit others. Empower them as they teach and administer and serve on your behalf. Bless students in their training and intellectual pursuits that they might be better equipped as stewards of this life. We're grateful for the gifts of those being honored this evening through Sioux Awards. We celebrate the gifts of Al, Jeannie, Jack, Lucy, Tim, Jules, and Eric, and honor their accomplishments for the good of so many. In the midst of celebration, we remember those who grieve the death and injuries of so many in the horrific shooting rampage in Las Vegas. Bring comfort, solace, and peace to so many who suffer and grieve. And lest we forget that all gifts come from you, we give you thanks for the gifts of food we enjoy at this meal, and so for food to eat and those who prepared it, for the friends beside us, for the love between us, and for your presence among us, we say thank you. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you continue to enjoy your dinner, please enjoy the Varsity Bards under the direction of Dean Gillick.
Do you feel the force of the wind, the slash of the rain? Go face them and fight them. Be savage again. Go hungry and cold like the wolf. Hungry and cold like the wolf. Go away like the crane. Go away like the crane. The palms of your hands will thicken. The skin of your cheek will tan. You'll grow ragged and weary. You'll grow ragged and swarthy. But you'll walk. You'll walk like a man.
would like to invite any recovering bards to come sing our varsity song with us.
There are no such thing as a former bard. They're only recovering bards. Announce it again. Announce it again.
Don't be shy.
Oh yeah, we got more coming. Is he coming too? He's back? Oh yeah, no. Yeah, they may have changed the words a bit. Say what you know. Say what you know. Say what you know. Tucker, are we doing ours? I'll stay. Good, John.
It's for you, North Dakota, you, that we sing our sons and daughters true, cheering our comrades to victory, renewing allegiance to you, and your honor we uphold in every conquest, as your children they shall do. And whenever you hear that cry of us, I, it's for you, North Dakota, you. Thousands of strong and loyal souls. We know you'll win every game you're in, no matter how distant the goals. And as we go, we'll show each foe that we're the toughest team between the poles. We're rough and tough, it's true, but we're sportsmen through and through. We're that great and red from North Dakota, you. Right, oi, oi! No! Dakota! Stand up and cheer. Stand up and cheer for North Dakota. Pledge your loyalty, for she's your alma mater. True, 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 true. Our teams are fighting, and we will help them see it through. We got the team, rah, rah, we got the steam. Woo! That's North Dakota. Here's to you. We sing a song for you, North Dakota,
Now, please welcome back to the stage the CEO of the UND Alumni Association and Foundation and 1986 UND graduate, Deanna Carlson-Zink.
Let's hear another round of our applause for our extremely talented members of the Varsity Bards. By the way, all Varsity Bards alumni are invited to join the group in the singing of the national anthem before the homecoming game on Saturday. Now, they'll be practicing Saturday morning, but let's be realistic. You're the ones that are going to have to practice. So you get over there and make sure that you're practicing with them. So check out the Varsity Bards Facebook page if you'd like to join them. We also encourage all of you to come to the game and cheer on Bubba's team on Saturday at the homecoming game. It's the highlight of homecoming week, but it's hardly the only event on the calendar. So here's just a few of the activities that are going to be happening. The College of Arts and Sciences will be showing off their new home tomorrow morning with an open house at Columbia Hall, which is the former home of the School of Medicine and Health Sciences. Dean Debbie Storrs, I know, would love for you to get a look at their new spaces from 9:30 to 11 tomorrow. The Mellon Business Symposium is tomorrow evening at 7 at the Gretzky Alumni Center. 3 of our honorees tonight will actually be the guest speakers at that annual event. On Friday, there will be tours of the new School of Medicine and Health Sciences building starting at 1 p.m. The College of Engineering and Mines Alumni Academy will hold its induction ceremony and luncheon on Friday, starting at 11:30 in the morning at the Collaborative Energy Complex. And the UND Athletics Letter Winner Association Hall of Fame dinner and induction ceremony is Friday night, right here in this room, starting at 5:30. Just a few things going on. Saturday morning, we'll bring the parade at 10 a.m. Our Grand Marshals are actually here tonight. Our Grand Marshals for the parade are 2 wonderful supporters of everything UND, Wes and Vivian Rydell. Yes. And a special thank you to Rydells for once again being the lead sponsor of Homecoming. And Wes and Vivian and Bob are here tonight representing, so please stand so we can thank you for that. They are such great partners to the University of North Dakota. Tailgating out at the Alaris Center parking lot runs from 11 until the start of the football game at 2:30 on Saturday afternoon. So there are also reunions, open houses planned across campus, and plenty of student events as well. So I encourage you to go to undalumni.org/homecoming for the complete rundown of everything going on this week. You won't want to miss it. For several years now, we have offered the opportunity to support a student so that UND students could find inspiration in our successful alumni as well. 95 students are here tonight thanks to those sponsorships. I'd like to ask the students in attendance to stand and be recognized. And if you sponsored a student's ticket for this evening, would you also please stand so we can all thank you for carrying forward this tradition? There is another special group of student leaders here tonight that also deserves some recognition. The Student Ambassador Executive Board plans student homecoming activities, welcome and family weekends, and Spirit Week. Student board members, formerly known as Telesis, and I know we have a few former Telesis members in the room, have spent a lot of time since they got back to school in August getting ready for this week. Would the Student Ambassador Executive Board members who are here tonight please stand and be recognized? Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to pay tribute to this year's Sioux Award recipients. The Sioux Award is the highest honor given by the UND Alumni Association and Foundation for achievement, service, and loyalty. Since its inception in 1949, this distinguished award has been presented to leaders in government and business, high achievers in various professions, and alumni who have dedicated their lives in service for others. Our first recipient this evening is a man that I've had the great pleasure of working with as the chair of the UND Alumni Association and Foundation Board. Al Royse is not only one of the most accomplished business leaders to ever come out of UND, but his philanthropic spirit is second to none.
Al Royse showed he was business savvy at an early age, selling produce for his family's business, Royce's Watermelon Kingdom, in Mandan, North Dakota. Al came to UND with plans to join the wrestling team, but an injury derailed that plan. He instead earned 3 degrees and became a state legislator.
If you thought about it, he was the youngest legislator at his time in the state of North Dakota. and ran for office and was successful, and it was quite unheralded that someone that young would have that kind of a leadership position. And even at the legislature, what he was respected for is his ability to walk across the aisle and really bring people together to talk their language, to get them to common resolution, something that would be needed so much now in our own political world. He had it way back then.
Al spent 34 years with Deloitte, one of the largest accounting firms in the world. He served as the UND Alumni Association Foundation's board president and is currently the national president of the American Heart Association.
He's just accomplished so much, and it has to do with his can-do attitude and his ability to take on challenges. He's not afraid of failure. He's encouraged people to make decisions where even perhaps that failure might be something they could learn from that would make them stronger on the second go-around. And I think all those things probably have some roots in what he learned here at the University of North Dakota. Al's probably greatest aspect of why he makes a good Sioux Award winner is he exudes the North Dakota spirit, that kind of can-do attitude, that innovative. He's been out in Silicon Valley where really you'd think would exude innovation, but I think what he brought came from what he learned here in North Dakota and even in Bismarck at his parents' vegetable farm. But there are so many aspects about him that just makes you feel he's a true North Dakotan.
Al, for being a shining example of what hard work can bring and for being a philanthropist of the highest order, please come forward to accept your Sioux Award.
Deanna, thank you very much for those generous comments and that kind introduction. I appreciate them. If I was smart, I wouldn't say anything. I'd just go back and sit down. But I've never been accused of being too smart, so I think I'll say a few words. Before I do anything else, though, I want to first have a quick moment and acknowledge the other Sioux Award winners tonight. It is a real pleasure to be recognized along with these fine individuals who have garnered such great success and done so in a manner so symbolic of North Dakota and UND values. Jeannie, Jack, Lucy, Tim, you're all incredibly impressive who have enjoyed great careers and have certainly made an incredible impact, and I'm honored to be included in your class. I also want to acknowledge our young alumni winners, Eric and Jules. You guys are really amazing. I can't wait to see what the rest of your career holds for you. So please keep me on Facebook or wherever. Tonight, I just want to do two things. I want to take a moment and acknowledge and thank some people who have helped me along the way and who are here tonight. And I want to take a moment and sincerely thank the university for what it has meant to me and done for me. There's an old saying in North Dakota that if you're driving down a road and you see a turtle sitting on top of a fence pole, you can bet he didn't get there by himself. He had a little help. And like all of us here tonight, I've had a lot of help to get to where I am. So I want to take a moment and acknowledge them. Time does not allow me to acknowledge all their names, but in sitting in the table in front of me, I have some friends who have flown a long ways. So Wayne and Jesse, Kurt, Lynn, Cheryl, thank you so much for coming so far. And my family, I have with me two brothers tonight, my brother Ken and his wife Kay, and my brother Roger, a UND grad who has a highly successful law practice in Silicon Valley. And if you don't believe me, you can ask him. He'll tell you that too. And my sister Dolores and her husband Todd sitting there. That family fruit stand you saw, it's over 70 years old now, still running, and Dolores operates it. So thank you, gang, for being here. I also want to acknowledge some special friends from the UND Foundation. They're sitting at another table and scattered throughout the room. It's a special group. I've had the chance to serve on a lot of different foundation boards and a lot of different boards over the years, and this board will match up with any of them. It was a pleasure to be part of it for so long. You saw my daughter and my son, and they could not make it tonight. My daughter is in New York City. She just gave birth to my second grandchild. A little boy named Liam Dermot O'Sullivan. Anybody want to guess his origins here? And my son Matt's a tax director at a private company. The extended due line for corporate returns is next week, so he's busy trying to get him out the door for his company. One person not here tonight that I wanted to especially acknowledge, who's been a special mentor to me, a lifetime mentor, is Doug Sobolek. Doug and Judy are lifetime or natives of Grand Forks. They're UND grads, and they were a partner of mine at Deloitte. And Doug has been an invaluable counselor to me throughout my career, and I'm sorry you couldn't make it. He had a family conflict, but I want to, if he's ever watching your video, I want him to know I thought of him and thanked him for that. At the table next to them is another table that means a lot to me. It's a table of officers and members of the Brothers of the SAE fraternity in North Dakota chapter. I wanted to especially acknowledge them because SAEs were a special part of my experience at Deloitte. My experience at UND. They played an important part of my life, and they taught me a lot. I want to share a quick story about why I am so keen about UND, and it involves the SAE chapter. So back in 1971, I was the president of the chapter. And in October of that year, some of you may remember, we had a tragedy. We suffered a terrible fire. A fire in which a house was destroyed and 2 lives were lost. We might have lost more, but for the fact that half of the brothers were in Fargo that night, the night before, getting ready for at the time, the annual NDSU UND football game. That was back in the days when NDSU had the courage to still play us. But one of those lives lost was that of fraternity brother Tony Stein. Now, Tony was not just a fraternity brother. He was my hometown of Mandan. He was a childhood friend, and he was one of the reasons I pledged SAE in the first place. Tony was an incredible person, and I am convinced that had it not been for that freak accident, he would be standing here tonight alongside of me receiving the Sioux Award. Since he's not able to do so, I want to take this moment and dedicate the Sioux Award to his memory. So if you can please give an applause for Tony Stein. Also, when I think of UND, I think of that fire. Not the tragedy, but the university's response to it. We lost everything. Not that we had a lot in those days, but everything we had was destroyed in that fire. I remember personally running out of the house that early Saturday morning with nothing but a bathrobe and a pair of glasses which had been partially melted by the intensity of the heat. and for some reason my car keys. We had no clothes, we had no cash, and in those days we had no cell phones. But the university immediately stepped up to help us. They were right on the scene, including the president of the university at the time. They called our parents, they provided us with meals and clothing. They also immediately, that very day, found a dorm room for us to stay in. I think it was Wilkinson dorm, but I don't really recall anymore. They somehow found a large room in which they emptied and filled with about 30 bunk beds. I will be forever grateful. For that day, I knew the university was more than solely being an educational institution. It was a caring institution. They showed me they not only talked the talk, they walked the talk of the North Dakota and the UND spirit. So thank you, UND. I also want to thank the university for all that has meant to me and done for me. And I think we all owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude which we can never fully repay. Like so many young North Dakotans, UND was my first real experience away from home. It is where we, to a large extent, found ourselves. I came to UND in 1970 and left in 1976, having garnered a bachelor's, a master's, and a JD degree. I clearly never wanted to go. Remember that famous Woody Allen speech to graduating seniors? My advice to you is, don't go. Well, I took it seriously. I stayed as long as I could. But I remember walking through the student union when I was in high school and first visited UND for the first time, and I remember seeing all these cool college kids drinking coffee, wearing their turtleneck sweaters, debating the issues of the day, smoking, not cool today, by the way, and some wearing these anti-war buttons. It was a different world. But I also remember all that I learned, not just the technical stuff, but also the practical stuff. How to deal with people, how to think for myself, how to interact more adeptly with others. I also remember the opportunity that UND gave me to be a student teacher, a graduate teaching assistant, and then later a part-time teacher when I was in law school. It's where I made some lifelong friends, some of whom are here tonight, like Wayne, like Paul, like many I noticed, like Mike, like many I noticed earlier. You've all heard the old phrase, 6 degrees of separation. Well, at UND, it's really only 1 degree, if it's even that. I owe a lot to UND, and I'm extremely grateful. But I particularly want tonight to thank the faculty. As an alum, I've always regretted the fact that I never found, quote, made the time to come back and tell some of those great professors what they meant to me and the impact they had. I read once that the 3 saddest words in the English language are, I have time. I have time. And I always felt I had time to come back and thank them, but unfortunately, time flies. And before you know it, it's 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. And many of those great professors and mentors have passed on. In particular, I want to acknowledge and to thank an old accounting professor of mine named Stu Lundberg. The reason Professor Lundberg is so special to me is because when I first transferred to UND, I remember having to meet with the faculty advisor. It was late in the afternoon. It was one of those hot, late August days. And as I was talking away on my aspirations and my dreams and what I wanted to major in, I heard a noise. I looked up, and to my surprise, the faculty advisor was soundly sleeping. Once again, using those great political communication skills I had, I'd put the advisor to sleep. I didn't know what to do, so I quietly backed up and snuck out of the room, went downstairs. As I'm talking to the front desk, Professor Lundberg walked by, and I had never met the guy, and he overheard the conversation. And he said, hey there, young guy. I said, don't worry about it. I'll make time. I'll take care of you. Now, at the time, I thought I was going to be a business major or a history major or political science. And after meeting with Professor Lundberg, I became an accounting major. He was a good recruiter. But that ultimately was one of the best decisions I ever made because it ultimately led to a job at the Big 8 firm Deloitte, and then a career which I have enjoyed fully. I've had the chance at Deloitte to meet people, see people, deal with some of the greatest business leaders in the country, and I have enjoyed every moment of it. Life often turns on the smallest of things, and that was clearly a key moment in my life. And while I never had the chance to thank Professor Lundberg personally, I doubt he even knew or remembered the incident. I want to do so now. And I want to do so not just for me, but for all those alums who believe that they have time to come back and thank those professors and those mentors. So on behalf of them, all the faculty in the audience, all the professors, thank you. The impact you make, I don't know if you fully appreciate it. It's incredible, and we're here today because of you. So thank you. In closing, I'm reminded of a quote of the words of former President Calvin Coolidge. No man is ever honored for what they receive. They are honored for what they give. I like to think that we, the honorees tonight, are just reflections, representatives for the university. And when you honor us, we're really honoring the university for what it has given all of us. It has given us a chance to not only make a life, but to make an impact. It's provided us with technical skills, lifelong learning experiences, and the tools and confidence to go out into the world and succeed. You heard it earlier in the video. Former Sioux Award winner Dale Morrison said it best. UND has been good to me, and UND has been good for me. You can't say it any better than that. Thank you for the award, and thank you for allowing me the pleasure of having been a UND student, and now a UND alum. Thank you.
Jeanne Pfeiffer is a pioneer in the field of infection control. She was the Hennepin County Medical Center's first ever infection prevention and control practitioner, and she's become known as an international expert in the field.
Jeanne Pfeiffer grew up in Sarles, North Dakota, and though she wanted to become a nurse from a young age, she wasn't sure her small-town education had prepared her well enough to attend the University of North Dakota in the big city of Grand Forks. At her mother's encouragement, though, she did earn a degree at UND and found work in the Twin Cities as a nurse. By taking on new responsibilities and challenges, Jeanne became the first infection disease prevention coordinator at Hennepin County Medical Center. In that role, she became nationally and internationally known for her expertise on infection control.
And thanks to her mother's vision, we now have an individual who has been the clear and consistent voice for infection prevention across the globe for over 3 decades. She is changing the world, and that's what the Sioux Award is about, is recognizing those who have gone out and made a real commitment, not just to our state and the university, but to the world.
No doubt you've seen one of her claims to fame hanging in your doctor's office. Jeanne and a colleague developed the Cover Your Cough campaign in response to an international SARS scare in 2003.
Sioux Award is an outstanding honor for our alumni, and it's our way of recognizing outstanding service and commitment and loyalty to our state, to our university, of course, and making a difference in the world. And Jeanne has been able to do that in her lifelong work. And I love the fact that she says every day's an exciting day, because she's going out and making a difference.
Jeanne, for all you have done to advance knowledge in the field of infection control, saving countless lives in the process, and for showing us all what lifelong learning means, please come forward to accept your Sioux Award.
What a beautiful evening at the Alara Center, and I promise you no more than 5 minutes. I would like to thank the Alumni Association and staff for coordinating the logistics of this award, the UND College of Nursing, who started me on my career path, and my family and friends who have supported me all along life's journey. How do I begin to thank those who've inspired me? As a little girl growing up on the prairies of North Dakota, before running water and television, I knew then I was called to be a nurse. I began my innovation in the sandbox. I engaged my brother to help me clean and sanitize the abandoned chicken coop to serve as my childhood corporate headquarters. Because our grade school enrollment was very small, my entire class of 15 played together at recesses. I was the chief operating officer of the hospital on the playground where the wounded would be transported. I loved school, but without guidance counselors and the internet, it was difficult to imagine what could be after graduation from high school. And it was my mother who said, "Have you considered the University of North Dakota for your nursing degree?" I will forever thank her for the decision I made to enroll at UND in 1965, where I earned my Bachelor of Science in Nursing. My new environment as a young adult at UND was life-changing for me. It was in the Fulton and Johnstone dormitories that I learned about getting along with others, and especially those who were different from me. My leadership trajectory began as a resident assistant and continued in various capacities at the Newman Center and Deaconess Hospital during those 4 years. I made lifelong friends. While we completed the requirements of the College of Nursing, we supported each other through the rigors of the sciences, the joys and tears of our clinical experiences, and the fun of our campus life. We always had the genuine support of nursing faculty members to keep us focused when we struggled. Those were also the winters we trekked across the campus to the tin-covered arena where the Sioux hockey fans dressed for the Arctic. Where were the helmets when those fights erupted? And I will never forget the 3-day blizzard of '66 when we formed human chains to get to the dormitory cafeterias, avoiding the roofs of cars that were buried in the snow. Just before graduation, Abbott Hospital from the Twin Cities invited students to dinner in hopes of recruiting them to work in Minneapolis. Most of us had never been to a place that large before. How would we find our way? Never mind, they said. We will house you free for 2 weeks and help you find your first apartment. They recruited several graduates that night and were willing to invest in us because they were impressed with the work ethics of the UND School of Nursing graduates. What a beginning of this lifelong journey of learning and responding to the call to serve. The Minneapolis Star and Tribune in 1970 featured 2 of us on the front page with a newborn infant who an 8.5-month pregnant mother had been admitted to the coronary care unit where I was in charge that night. She had a life-threatening rhythm, and we had to resuscitate her, not knowing what the outcome of that baby might be. The following year, she invited us to the first birthday party of the delightful little girl. I think that I was a bit drawn to an adrenaline rush from responding to challenging medical situations and soon found my way to Hennepin County Medical Center, or HCMC, where we served a very diverse population with complex medical conditions. I found I was never satisfied with what is, always asking why, and loved to respond to what if, in order to change systems and improve patient and employee conditions. Infection control practitioners, now known as preventionists, were new to healthcare in the early 80s. HCMC hired me as their first practitioner. I earned my master's in public health while developing and directing the infection prevention program until 2005, when I answered another call to join the faculty of the University of Minnesota School of Nursing, and where I completed my Doctor of Nursing practice and practice today. I found the sweet spot in my career early on. I have satisfied my lifelong learning desires by searching for answers to serve interprofessional healthcare teams and the patient populations we served. Each day has been an achievement adventure. The doors of leadership opened, and I responded to requests to serve on health system committees, task forces at the city, county, state, national, and international levels, and on professional society boards. Each engagement has changed systems to better outcomes for patients, employees, students, and society in general. Mahatma Gandhi has inspired me to be the change that you wish to see in the world, and I want to thank you for this award.
Jack Muhs started working for Federal Express when he was still an aviation student at the University of North Dakota in the mid-'80s. He has since risen through the ranks to be one of the top leaders at this huge multinational company.
Jack Muhs is a top executive with Federal Express, but he started at what could be realistically considered the bottom rung of that massive international organization, working on the ramp at the Grand Forks Airport while an aviation student at UND. Muhs has worked his entire career within FedEx, but he has never forgotten the education he received at the University of North Dakota. He and his siblings have established the Muhs Family Aviation Scholarship at the university.
Over the time period, many individual students have benefited from that generosity. And then Jack has always taken the time to come back to UND, speak in classes. He's been on our advisory board. So his contributions are certainly, and more importantly, more than just financial, but you know, he's directly contributing to the mission of the institution.
Jack's older brother took him flying when Jack was just 12 years old, and from that moment he knew he wanted to work in aviation. Muhs says the faculty at the, quote, best aviation program in the world opened his eyes to all the possibilities. They all knew what you could do, he says.
Well, I think how he's demonstrated it, you know, professionally is his success within FedEx, but also the value of the education is contribution to others, and not just financially, but again, taking the time to leave his busy schedule, come back and interact with students here in class.
Jack, for your success in becoming a leader at one of the largest companies in the world, and for never forgetting the University of North Dakota and its aviation program, please come forward to accept your Sioux Award.
It's a little bit surreal being up here. I think I've spoken in every continent of the world except Antarctica, and I hope I don't have to make that speech. But you know, I've never really felt as nervous as I do tonight. First of all, I think it's very important to say some thank yous, President Kennedy, for your warm greeting tonight, to the Alumni Association for this incredible award. For the JDO School for the nomination, obviously, and one of the areas that I got my first leadership lessons were Delta Tau Delta, and I got to meet some of the brothers from Delta Tau Delta tonight too, so I want to recognize them. But most importantly, I want to recognize my family. Eric, I appreciate your comments tonight. My dad is here, he's 91, he's a World War II veteran, so Dad. And Mom, while she didn't graduate from college, she lived in the tin huts on UND for a couple of years, so I think she gets an honorary degree. I've got my brother David, who's a doctor down in Jamestown, his wife Stacy. Both of them are UND graduates. They're here tonight. My sister Mitzi and her husband Clem. Mitzi got an associate's degree from UND, and then we had to take in an outsider, so we got an NDSU graduate sitting on our table. I remind him often, though, that if you want to work on the farm, you go to NDSU. If you want to own the farm, you go to UND. But I've got a brother Bob out in Seattle, his wife Becca. They couldn't be with us tonight, but he's a UND graduate. I've got another brother Chuck and his wife Susan. Chuck's in Abu Dhabi right now working, and he's a UND graduate. His wife's a UND graduate. And then my sister Susan went to Jamestown College, so we'll give her a pass, but she obviously a very important part of my life. Probably the two most important parts of my life are here tonight, too. My son James, who's a second lieutenant in the Air Force. His girlfriend, Allie, who's in med school at UND, and James is a graduate of the UND aviation program. Way to go, bud. My son, Tommy, and his fiancée, Jordan, brand new fiancée. So excited to have them here. Tommy's also a graduate of UND, and so kept the family going. So I finished with Tommy for a particular reason. When Josh Christensen called me and told me that I'd won the award, I was a little bit surprised as well, but I called up everybody. Everybody's happy for me. I called my son Tom. He says, "What'd you do, Dad?" I said, that's a great question. I'm not sure that I know. So on reflection, I started thinking about what I did do. I think I got a lot of blessings. I grew up in a small town in North Dakota, where I was surrounded by an incredible education system, great teachers, great schools, wonderful coaches who prepared and encouraged. I didn't think a lot about that opportunity, but anything I wanted to do, I could do. Whether it was play basketball, play football, sandlot baseball, play golf, just incredible opportunities. And at 12 years old, my brother flew an airplane home from the University of North Dakota and gave me a ride. And at that point, I knew that I wanted to get into aviation. I didn't know how, but I wanted to get into aviation. And my thoughts of going to school outside of North Dakota at that time probably weren't that profound. I think, I grew up in a small town like Alvin said, and I just thought that's what you did. You went to school in North Dakota. And it had not been for John Odegaard and his incredible innovation in setting up an aviation school in North Dakota, I'd probably be someplace else tonight. His wife Diane and daughter Stephanie are here tonight, and John's a very special person and made a huge impact on my life. So I want to recognize John tonight too. When I got to UND, I got to experience a lot of leadership through the Greek system, Delta Tau Delta, as I mentioned earlier, but I was also president of the Interfraternity Council. I was probably the most unpopular president they ever had. During my regime, we set up dry rush, so I was about as popular as an NDSU grad on our campus. But at the same time, we knew that what was right and what was good would win out, and I think the Greek system is incredibly strong, and I'm very proud of what they do. I got an excellent education in airport administration, and I got an opportunity to intern with a small company in Memphis, Tennessee called Federal Express. At the time, we did probably, maybe $400 or $500 million a year in revenue. And this year, with the acquisition of TNT, we're fortunate enough to do about $60 billion in revenue in about 30 years. I found that I got incredible opportunities from Federal Express based on some things that were instilled in me, not just in UND, but in the state of North Dakota. You work hard, you don't always win, but when you don't win, you figure out how to win the next time. I started, when I got done with my internship, I went back and started loading airplanes on the ramp in Grand Forks for FedEx. And I just knew that it was an incredible opportunity. And I was fortunate enough to get the opportunities to go through the company in different positions. Spent about 25 years directly tied to the aviation part of the business, which was really my launching ground for the rest of my career. So Tom, I think to answer your question, I don't know of one good reason that I'm here, but there are literally hundreds of great reasons. My family who supported me, my friends who encouraged me, my teachers, professors, and coaches who prepared me, FedEx who gave me remarkable opportunities, and you and your brother who gave me incredible love and inspiration for me to do anything I wanted to. Thank you for this honor, and it's my honor to share it with all those great reasons that I'm receiving the Fighting Sioux Award. For the students, you're at a great university. You will learn about many roads to success in your time here. Find your road, find your passion, and make it your own. If you do this, I see a great future for you. Thank you very much for this meeting.
Our next recipient is 1980 graduate Lucy Dalglish, who has spent her career standing up for the principles of free speech and a free press.
Lucy Dalglish has had journalism in her veins since the time she worked for her elementary school newspaper. Dalglish grew up near campus and went on to work at the Dakota Student and Grand Forks Herald while at UND. She would pursue a career in journalism, receive a law degree, work as the head of the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press, and now as the dean of the Philip Merrill College of Journalism at the University of Maryland.
So I've learned a lot from Lucy because she has the lived experience as a journalist, as an editor, part of a nonprofit protecting free speech of journalists, and she's also very in tune to the future in the world today in terms of technology and digital communication. So she's been very influential in some of the things that we're trying to accomplish here at UND.
Lucy says educating the public in an informed democracy is her passion, and she has been able to do things to further that interest in every job she's held. That, she says, is really thrilling.
She kind of, for me, represents what we offer students here, a real opportunity to pursue your curiosity and fuel your curiosity, and her whole career continues to do that, and she gives back in so many ways to support, again, First Amendment rights for all of media. That's really her passion. And of course, she cares deeply about students, both as a dean and as an alum of ours. She's come back. She gives to UND. She's committed and connected to our program and communication, particularly in digital communications and journalism. So she's pretty interesting. She's got an interesting career trajectory, and she's not done.
Lucy, for your success as a journalist, attorney, educator, and advocate, and your support of UND journalism students, please come forward to accept your Sioux Award.
Deanna, I don't know how many other people burst into tears when you call them to tell them that they've won a Sioux Award, but I was a little embarrassed, but it was very heartfelt. Then I called my parents and my mother burst into tears. So we all know what this means. Thank you to the University of North Dakota Alumni Association and Foundation for this wonderful award. I'm truly touched to be recognized as a distinguished graduate of this great university. Congratulations to my fellow Sioux Award and Horizon Award winners, Jack, Al, Jeannie, Tim, Jules, and Eric. You are remarkable people, and I am really thrilled to be able to share tonight with you. You know, I've given speeches around the world for a couple of decades now, and I cannot ever remember being as nervous about talking in front of a crowd as I am tonight. And perhaps it's because I have always wanted to make you proud. Many of you know that I grew up practically across the street from campus. I babysat some of your kids. My siblings, Mary, Jim, and Greg, and I are all alums, and we used UND as our playground. We took swimming lessons here. We visited the art museum. We watched plays at the Burtness Theater. We listened to the Varsity Bards. Does anyone else ever remember the song Poisoning Pigeons in the Park? That was my favorite. We attended concerts at Chester Fritz Auditorium. We went to church at the Newman Center, and we watched nearly every football, hockey, and basketball game season after season. And now that we are all flung across the United States, this is home. I'd like to thank my friends and family from Minnesota, South Dakota, Arizona, Massachusetts, and New Jersey who are here tonight. My roommate, Kim Yeager, made it from Minneapolis. My parents, Jim and Joanne Dalglish, wisely chose to raise us in a city with a wonderful university that broadened our horizons and helped us fearlessly explore the world. They will celebrate their 60th wedding anniversary tomorrow, and most of their original wedding party is here with us tonight. Actually, it's not their original wedding party, it's their only wedding party, just to be clear. I would like to thank my husband, Mark. I could not imagine a more supportive spouse, especially since we embarked on the adventure known as academia 5 years ago. He keeps my sense of humor intact. I am a proud product of public schools on the prairie, and I am so grateful that the hardworking citizens of North Dakota placed a high value on educating their children. So thank you also to North Dakota's taxpayers. I have lived in 6 states. Trust me, public support of education does not happen everywhere. I hope that no matter what the economic strain is facing the state, you continue to help your youth grow into healthy, educated, productive members of society. As you've heard tonight, after 30 years of working in journalism and law, I jumped into life as a public university administrator. Being responsible for a new generation of journalists has dramatically increased my respect for teachers. When I heard about this award, I knew I could not pass up the opportunity to say thank you to 3 people, all of them University of North Dakota alums, who shaped my world in ways they may never have imagined. First, Dr. Vernon Keel was chairman of the journalism department at UND. His First Amendment class stoked my passion for the law, free expression, and speaking truth to power. He helped me get my first job as an intern at the Grand Forks Herald, and he convinced me I could go anywhere and do anything as a journalist. He also introduced me to my friend Mike Jacobs, former publisher of the Grand Forks Herald, who has been my lifelong colleague. Thank you for being here tonight, Mike. Two other special teachers are here tonight. Carol Dahlstrom was an English teacher and newspaper advisor at Central High School when I was co-editor of the Centralian. She allowed us incredible amounts of freedom to express ourselves, got us out of trouble with the principal when we kind of went a little too far, and nurtured my inner bossy newsroom manager. She made us feel as though our words really mattered. So Carol, thank you for your guidance and for being here tonight. And I may never have attempted to be a journalist had it not been for an absolutely remarkable 6th grade teacher who created the Lake Agassiz Hotline. Sandra Korsmo was a free spirit who managed a classroom newspaper that came out every Friday. I was the editor and I had to write an editorial every week. I wrote about the Vietnam War, 18-year-olds getting the right to vote, violence on television, pollution, and I shudder to remember that I came out against women's liberation. She typed our newspaper every week, and my classmates and I sold the newspaper in the neighborhood right around Lake Agassiz School for 3 cents each or 2 for a nickel. You could subscribe for an entire year for $1. And at the end of the year, we took the entire class to Winnipeg, and I saw some of my 6th grade classmates 2 weeks ago at a Central Red River reunion, and we were all talking about that trip to Winnipeg. So thank you, Sandra. You taught this girl to think critically and entrepreneurially, and you also taught us all to speak up and have our voice count. Every day, I have the privilege of walking on a large public university campus on the Eastern Seaboard. But that campus is not UND. I am in a region where there are dozens of elite private schools, and sometimes the University of Maryland gets forgotten. We like to describe our students as scrappy, and many of them, like here, fight very hard for their education. But it's not the community that we have here in Grand Forks. Our Alumni Association was only founded 25 years ago. It's not the same, and it's hard to describe what it feels like to be here tonight. Great public universities help young people grow to be productive, culturally aware members of society. Public research universities conduct important research that serves their communities and drives their state's economies. That is certainly the case here at UND, where research is being done on energy and environmental technologies, on unmanned aerial vehicles, and on healthcare for American Indians. Just as importantly, most students will never again have the opportunity to live and learn hand in hand with people of other cultures, races, religions, and genders. Our democracy will survive only when more of us have the opportunity to live and learn with people who have different views and life experiences, and when we really learn to listen to each other. A great university cannot be replicated with a few online courses here or there. And UND has been an innovator in online education and distance education for as long as I can remember. This is a very valuable tool for many students. But just feel the atmosphere in this room. You can't get that on your computer. It will never be a substitute for the experience of students and faculty living, learning, and working together every day, addressing the world's problems and creating a better North Dakota. My boss likes to say that education is really the immortality business. You make an impact on somebody, and that impact extends to eternity. This university opened my eyes to the world, and I pray that it does the same for generations of students who follow me. Thank you again. I am truly humbled by this award.
I was lucky enough to have a close working relationship with our final recipient for 12 years. Tim O'Keefe was the leader of the UND Alumni Association and Foundation from 2002 until he retired in 2014. But Tim's UND roots run much deeper than that.
Tim O'Keefe played hockey for UND, but his love for the university began at a younger age. His grandfather played basketball for the university. His father helped fundraise to build the Winter Sports Arena, home to UND hockey from 1972 to 2001. After working as a teacher, Tim spent many years as a McDonald's franchisee before taking over as CEO of the UND Alumni Association Foundation in 2002.
Tim is a great leader. He's a great coach. He's a great mentor. He really knows how to develop people, and he takes the time to recognize people. He holds them up. He helps them to be the best they can be. And as we all know, Tim is a great communicator. He's a skilled storyteller, and those stories have served to really help to connect all of us in very real ways and reconnect us to this university. And Tim's fun.
As CEO, Tim led efforts to build the Goretzky Alumni Center and headed the most successful fundraising campaign in North Dakota history. North Dakota Spirit, the campaign for UND, raised $324 million for the benefit of students, faculty, and staff.
Tim, thank you for being a great leader, mentor, coach, and friend to so many. You set a bold vision and inspired all of us. You really helped us to see what was possible. You built a high-performing team that stepped up to numerous challenges and really wanted to be part of something that was transformative. And together, you delivered $324 million for the benefit of UND. And you created a philanthropic platform across the university that will benefit our students and our faculty for many years to come. What a legacy. What an impact. Thank you.
Tim, for your love of the University of North Dakota and your passionate work on behalf of UND students, faculty, and staff, please come forward to accept your Sioux Award.
That last clip is how one feels walking through the door of the J. Lloyd Stone Center, realizing you're going to try and replace Earl Strinden. Thank you. Let me start by saying congratulations to tonight's Young Alumni Achievement and fellow Sioux Award recipients. Lucy, I really appreciated how when we met tonight, you said, I watched you play hockey. And I thought, isn't that nice? Then she said, yeah, I was 6 or 7 years old at the time. I'm very honored to share this wonderful evening with each of you. As you'd expect, I'm fairly familiar with the attributes and accomplishments that are required to receive the Sioux Award. In fact, over my 12 years with the Alumni Association Foundation, I was directly involved in calls informing 72 recipients of this honor, many of whom were asked to stand earlier in the program this evening. To paraphrase a good friend of mine when she received the Sioux Award, I'm a very ordinary guy from Grand Forks, North Dakota, who received an exceptional UND education and developed over time a network of extraordinary accomplished alumni from the university. I'm humble yet thrilled to receive this honor. As you saw throughout this evening, most Sioux Award recipients are world-class individuals whose life has impacted the world that we live in. It's not me. I completely see this as a team honor, with many different individuals contributing on the path leading to my reception of the award. I'm going to quickly recognize some of those who deserve a piece of this Sioux Award, but I'm keeping it. For me, that team began at home. We were born into a UND and Fighting Sioux hockey family, as was shown. Although our grandfather Henry kind of deviated, he graduated from UND in 1908 and was a standout basketball and baseball player in his undergraduate years, eventually coaching baseball at UND. Those of you who have been unfortunate enough to experience sitting next to me at a hockey game never sat by our dad, John O'Keefe. Trust me, it was as physical sitting next to him as it was playing, swaying whichever direction the play was going, arms flaying away, a constant voice of advice to the referees. The best evidence I have of that tonight, I'm delighted to have my siblings here, Nancy Bugliosi and her husband Jerry, Mike and Cindy O'Keefe, and the three of us are especially happy to have brother Bill with us. They could all testify as to the fact that John and Jeanne O'Keefe were incredibly passionate about UND, UND hockey, Grand Forks, and our great state of North Dakota. We grew up with Fighting Sioux hockey players frequently around the house doing odds and ends. In fact, I learned to sing Stand Up and Cheer at 8 years old in both English and French from Guy Lafrance, a star on the '59 championship team. The Fighting Sioux tradition, quest for excellence, and demand for exceptional character were a daily part of our life. I'm happy today's students and those of tomorrow embracing the Fighting Hawks name. It's an important, and creating traditions of their own. It's an important staple of college life. But for those of us who saw the Fighting Sioux athletics through the lens of tradition, accomplishment, and excellence, it's okay to cherish those memories as well. The captain of the team who deserves the largest piece of this award is my wife, Becky. Now, I especially appreciate you doing that because I have to tell you, in my first year in the job, every event we went to, when I introduced Becky, I mentioned that she was a graduate of NDSU, and most of you booed. So after that first year, she said something to me to the effect of, "Don't ever do that again." And 13 years later, we're standing here stronger than ever. Anyone who knows us realizes that she is the backbone behind me. Her unwavering support, endless patience, love, and willingness to put up with me has allowed my energy to flow forward in a positive way. We're very proud of our daughters, Erin Hackstall and Katie Hale, and their husbands, Dave Hackstall and Ryan Hale. Much like you, Jack, all great UND grads. And how lucky am I to share a common hockey background with Dave and Ryan. Most importantly, they are terrific husbands and fathers. We love you all and appreciate your contributions towards the Sioux Award that you share in. I'm also very appreciative to have Becky's mother, Margaret, here. 93 going on 50. And Becky's brother, Todd Carlson, as well. and my lifetime mentor, Jim Cack, and his wife, Joanne. The primary reason I'm standing here is my tenure as CEO of the Alumni Association and Foundation. We were always cognizant that we stood on the shoulders of those who precede us. And as such, I do want to express my gratitude to Earl and all the staff who worked with him over the years. They laid the foundation for the accomplishments of our era. I was blessed with incredible board members who served with such energy and passion over the 12 years that I was in the leadership role. Your service inspired all of us on staff, and your mentorship and guidance, unwavering support, drove me and the staff every day towards achieving our common goals. Certainly our greatest accomplishment that we shared was the North Dakota Spirit Campaign, probably the signature reason that I stand in front of you now. With an audacious goal of $300 million, the path to deliver it was daunting. Teddy Roosevelt once said, "Believe you can, and you're halfway there." Thus, the board of directors made the commitments necessary to execute the campaign. But we should all acknowledge it wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have succeeded without the North Dakota Spirit Campaign Committee. 35 individuals led by Linda Pancrantz and John Berry, who, like each of us, woke up every day focused on an outcome never achieved before in North Dakota. Together as leadership and along with us as staff, they made us believe that we could, and we did. Thanks to each of you who participated. I have a special place in my heart for the staff I worked with as teammates at the University of North Dakota Alumni Association and Foundation. And make no mistake that everything that we achieved were team accomplishments, and it wasn't easy. Several are here tonight. I want to acknowledge a particular group that are sitting together, and I'm not sure exactly where, and ask them to stand. Marla Anderson, Cindy Filler, Deb Wilson, Roberta Beauchamp, Jeannie Tweet, Sandy Kello, rhymes with Jello, Becky Greer, Dave Meadham, and of course, Deanna. These professionals were all part of the organization from my beginning until the end. Outside of a couple in development, most of this group worked in operations and finance. I called them the back end of the operation, which somehow they turned around and translated into calling themselves the ass end of the organization. Those of us in development out during the ask of donors couldn't have succeeded without the work you did, and I'll always be grateful. Trust me that each of these 9 vividly remembers when the change train left the station, and they stayed on it until the end. Deanna, Laura Block, Bob Knutson were my management teammates, and we went through a lot together. You guys are simply the best. So after family, the biggest pieces of a shared statue that's getting quite a bit smaller go to the staff, board members, and campaign committee. I've often been asked in hindsight what my greatest satisfaction was from my tenure. Certainly the North Dakota Spirit Campaign achievement was incredible. See, the impact that the donations made on students are real high. But the actual answer to that question is quite easy for me. It was experiencing the sheer, complete joy of giving I saw in so many of your faces upon making the commitment. The emotion that you felt knowing that you were making a difference in students' lives to come at a place that impacted your life to such a degree. I'll never forget it. And it was one of the best feelings of my life, and I thank you for that. For just a second, I'm going to ask each of you to put your brain into Google Map mode. Come down from the heavens and look at the philanthropic impact at your UND. Let's start at the east end of campus. You have the Ralph Engelstedt Arena, all the various Greek houses, the High Performance Center in athletics, in engineering, the Collaborative Energy Complex, the Chester Fritz Library, the Chester Fritz Auditorium, the President's Home, the Gretzky Alumni Center, Robin Hall and Aerospace, numerous classrooms across UND named after donors. When we started the Spirit Campaign, we had less than 400 endowments, 1,400 plus endowments today for student scholarships, faculty support, and research.
The list goes on and on. I ask you, where would UND, and for that matter, the state of North Dakota be without the philanthropic support of all you as alumni and friends? The most innovative idea in the history of mankind occurred in 1776 with the creation of the United States of America, this great country that we're privileged to live in. One of the truest aspects of our society that separates us from the rest of the world is philanthropy, that fundamental motivation and high desire within our society to give back. Deanna asked me to remind you, giving to UND is a very good thing. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart all the family, friends, business associates, hockey alumni, ATO fraternity brothers, Golden Feathers out on probation, and others who attended tonight. In closing, I'd like to ask my 4 best buddies to come up here, because Lucy, like you, when Deanna called me, as she could testify, extremely unusual for me, she got about 30 seconds of silence as I sorted out my feelings. Avery Hackstall, TJ Hale, Brendan Hackstall, and Kaya Hale, when they score a big goal, have a great academic achievement or something, we've got a way that we celebrate. And so, Deanna, what I really should have said to you, you ready, guys? Yeah, baby, yeah, baby! Woo! Thank you, UND.
Al, Jeannie, Jack, Lucy, Tim, Eric, and Jules. Tonight you have joined a select and remarkable group of UND alumni and friends who are shining examples of what a UND diploma and hard work can accomplish. You truly are leaders in action, and we are proud to call you alumni of the University of North Dakota. In recent months, you may have heard me talk about how UND alumni and friends can impact the lives of many by having faith in just one. It has become the slogan for our UND Promise Scholarship Program. The students who stood up tonight and who may be sitting at your tables have dreams of accomplishing great things, of making an impact on our world, and of standing on this stage. Your faith in them will help make their dreams come true. Just look at our recipients tonight. Think how many lives each has impacted by taking the knowledge and values that they learned at UND out into this world. From business to healthcare to journalism to the nonprofit sector and beyond. Our recipients tonight have made a difference in the lives of so many. And it started right here at this great university. You have made the University of North Dakota very proud. So thank you all for another wonderful Sioux Awards banquet. Feel free to stay and socialize and congratulate this evening's award winners. We hope to see you at more homecoming events throughout the weekend. Have a good evening.